Hello everyone. I welcome you all for my today's session on build your own copilot with Semantic Kernel. I am Krunal Trivedi. I welcome you to the Global Azure 2025 Mumbai edition. Before I start my session on how to build your custom copilot with the help of Semantic Kernel SDK, let me give you my brief introduction. I am Krunal. I am a Microsoft certified trainer MCT as well as MCT India regional lead. I am also Microsoft MVP for Azure and AI. Recently, I published a book on AI 900. You can see the book here. You can see my LinkedIn QR code. Feel free to connect. You can see my email address. I hope the session would be interactive and I wish you can perform the demos along with me. So let's start. Let's understand what is Semantic Kernel and how to create your custom copilot with the help of Semantic Kernel. Here you can see I am here with my command prompt and I just want to navigate to the D drive here. If you are performing this demo with me, feel free. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create new directory here, say the semantic prompt with 0 to hero as your AI, right? And I just navigate to this directory and I'm going to create a new project with the help of .NET Core. So make sure your .NET Core SDK installed with you and you're all set to work with it. So I just write say .NET new console, create the new console application and open it. Console application name is say build your copilot. So yeah, the application is created and I navigate to that application too and I just open it my editor. So the application is open in the VS Code and yes, I trust myself and this application is open here. Let me just open a terminal quickly. And first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add package specific to Microsoft Semantic Kernel. That means I'm going to add Semantic Kernel SDK here. So what I do is I just add package, say .NET add package. Package is say Microsoft Semantic Kernel. Version is 1.2.0. So I'm just going to add Microsoft Semantic Kernel package here. And yes, is being added and it's all set. So if I just go to my this CS proj file and you can see I have this semantic kernel package available with me. And let me just go to this program.cs file. I remove the existing code and I'm just going to use the package what we have just added Microsoft.semantic kernel and we create the class program. So I have this program class up and provision for me, and for this program class I'm just going to create a method entry point, say public static I need an async method. I'm just going to create an async task and yes, we don't need all this stuff, but yes, I have just created one async task here. Now first of all I'm going to create the object of create builder. So that is what I'm connecting to my kernel, semantic kernel. So I just create the object, say where builder is say kernel dot create builder. So I'm connecting to my kernel here, semantic kernel, and this builder object has various methods. So I just write builder dot add, and here you can see we have add Azure OpenAI chat completion endpoint. Here you can add, we have Azure OpenAI text embedding generation, Azure OpenAI text to image, Azure, normal, the classic OpenAI chat completion. So if you want to work with OpenAI, you are just going to select add OpenAI chat completion. If you are working with Azure OpenAI, you are going to use add Azure OpenAI chat completion. And here we have to provide various parameters. So what we are going to provide is we are going to provide our deployment, our endpoint, and the API key. So if you see here with me in my Azure portal, I have one Azure OpenAI services provision, and I have this deployment, which is deployment name is GPT-4o Semantic Kernel deployment. So to save the time, I have already provisioned this Azure OpenAI service. I have already deployed this model. I am using GPT-4o here. So I am going to use the service, its keys and endpoint. So I already have that thing copied with me. So I'm just going to provide. So with this, you can see now my deployment name I'm going to use. I have my endpoint also, which is my Azure OpenAI service endpoint, and I have my key. So now my .NET Core application is ready to talk with my Azure OpenAI service, and we just create one object where kernel equal to say builder.build. So the connection is established here now. And at very first, I just want to ask very simple question, simple prompt. So I just create a prompt here. Say result is, we have a method. Say I just go for result is equal to await, and I just use kernel dot. We have a function called invoke prompt async. So this function is going to send a prompt, and I just ask a question, and I say, give me a list of breakfast foods with bread and cheese. So yes, this is pretty simple prompt I'm asking, is very static prompt, but as you know, now you are working with your .NET, so you can take the input from the user, you can store it in the variable, and that variable you can pass here. And let me just write console dot write line is result. So now I am all set. Let me see. So I'm just going to run this application. So for that, what we do is .NET run my program class. So I just run my application. It will invoke my task here, the main method, which establish connection with the API. Yes, and you can see, friends, fantastic. I get to see some result. It gives me the output. It says like you can have grilled cheese sandwich, cheese toast, cheese and veggie breakfast burrito. So lots of options now I'm getting here, right? So you can see in just 2 minutes, we have connected with our Azure OpenAI. And if I want to work with OpenAI or I want to work with some another model, I just need to change the model and deployment name, endpoint, and the key. The rest all is your C# code or Python or Java code, and we are all set to go. Isn't it funny, right? Is this very interesting, right? Now, in just few minutes, you can integrate your application and Azure OpenAI together, right? You're not going to invest much. Let's create one more file here. So I just create one more class, and it is a program 001.cs. So I create one more class, and this time I'm going to work with a plugin. As I mentioned, we have plugins. Plugins are built-in functions. They have predefined tasks. They are intended to complete that particular task here. And to work with that plugin, what we need to add one more package here. So we are going to add a package, and the package is say Semantic Kernel plugins core. So again, I just go back to my terminal here, and I just say .NET add package, and say I want Microsoft Semantic Kernel plugins core, and I'm going to use version 1.2.0 alpha, but the latest version, if I'm not wrong, is 1.17. But yeah, you can check this plugin website. NuGet package manager website and you'll understand. So I just try to add this plugin, and yes, it's been added. Let me just confirm here, and the plugin is also available. So now I'm all set to create my custom code which is going to use this plugin here. So what I do here is, again in this program 1.cs, this time I'm going to add two packages. I'm going to use Microsoft.Semantic Kernel. I'm also going to use Microsoft.Semantic Kernel.plugins. So I use these two namespaces here, and I just create the class. And yes, let me create the class here, and everything is good up to this line. So again, in this class, we create the object of kernel builder. We establish connection with our Azure OpenAI chat completion with the help of deployment name endpoint API, and we have this kernel object which we have built here. Now, what we are going to do is, before we build it, right, I'm going to add a plugin, and we have one plugin called time plugin available. So what I'm going to write here is, say, use this builder dot plugins dot add from type, and we have a plugin called time plugin. So I'm just going to add this time plugin here, and it might give you some warning. So I just want to suppress this warning. To suppress this warning, we are going to disable the warning with the help of pragma, right? Because that time it was still under the preview mode, and latest version is 17. But yeah, for the version 1.2.0 alpha, it was in preview mode. So I just suppress the warning, and now we just build this kernel object. And now, say this plugin has various functions. So I just write where current day, I just want to use await and use kernel dot. Again, invoke async. This time it is not the prompt. What I want to invoke a plugin like time plugin, and time plugin has a function like get day, but we also function like day of week. So it will invoke day of week function from this time plugin, and we just write console.writeLine. We just print this current day. So we are using this time plugin. It is intended to return some of the some functionality like current time of the day or day of the week or month. So we have various functions available. So is a predefined function, predefined small plugin which is composed of multiple functions for specific task. And I just go back to this program.cs file, and in this program.cs file, what I'll do is, let me comment these two line of code. And I'm just going to use directly await and say program 1 dot, again, but we are not going to use main method here. I changed the method name to my time. So I'm just going to call program 1 dot my time method. And is there anything which we are missing? Yeah, we don't. That method doesn't take any argument. It's the normal method. Yeah. So now if I run it again, program file, and you can see it gives me, yeah, it's the Saturday. So this is what I just take a help of a basic plugin. Now let's use one more plugin. This time we are going to use conversation summary plugin. And this plugin has various functions like get some conversation topics, get conversation summary. So yeah, we are going to create one more file here. say program 002.cs, and again I'm going to import same namespaces here using Microsoft Semantic Kernel, dot plugins, and then I have a class. This time class name is program 002, and I'm going to create a function, say public static async task my conversation. So this is what I have, this function ready here, and I say where builder is equal to kernel.create builder. Again, rest of the thing is same, so I just remove it. But now I have to register my plugin, which plugin I want to use. So say in the builder, I want to use a plugin, add from type, but this time the plugin I'm going to use is not the time plugin, but it is conversation summary plugin. So here you can see we have this function called conversation summary plugin. I'm just going to suppress the warning. I write the same thing to suppress my warning pragma and the warning number, because that time this is the preview version, right, of my plugins API. I'm not using the latest version. Yeah, and then I'm just going to create a prompt here. So let's say where, or let me create a prompt string conversation is equal to @ and I say, hey, I'm a vegan in search of new recipes. I love spicy food. Can you give me a list of breakfast recipes that are vegan friendly and spicy? Yeah. So this is what I prepare one prompt here. Again, you can take the prompt from the user directly, and just for our better readability, let me just break it down. Yeah. And now here I create the object result. Again, I'm just going to use await kernel.invoke async. I use my plugin name. My plugin name is conversation summary plugin. But instead of summarize it, I'm just going to use get conversation topics method. And instead of passing this conversation here, I'm just going to pass new object, and I just say input would be from this variable conversation. And yes, let me just break it down like this, and let's double quotes here. Yes. So here you can see I invoke the plugin conversation summary plugin, and it will call the function say get conversation topics. So if you see here, what are the topics it returns? It returns topics like vegan, recipes, friendly, spicy, breakfast, like that. And I'm just going to print it here. Say console.writeLine result. Let me go to this program file. Let me comment these, and I'm just going to use await program 2.myconversation here. Let me run it. So yes, you can see it gives me an array of topics: vegan recipes, spicy food, breakfast. So it understands that from this prompt, I want to return conversation topic, and we use the conversation summary plugin, right? And we have various plugins available like HTTP plugin. We have, I can show you the list of the plugins we also have, so it will give you an idea to understand. So yes, we have these plugins like HTTP plugins. It helps you to make an HTTP call, conversation summary plugin, file IO plugin, which allows you to write and read with the file data, right? We have this math plugin, performs mathematical operations, text plugin, which gets time and performs text manipulations. Time plugin gets time and date information. Wait plugins, which pauses execution for specified amount of time. So we have various built-in plugins. Each and every plugin comes with various methods. But yes, we have these plugins available that we can use, right, to write our code, to make our daily life easy with the help of Azure OpenAI and Semantic Kernel. Say I'm going to create one more task, one more file here. And this time what I want to work with prompt. As we all know, prompt engineering is very important part of your of accuracy of your AI model, right? And we have various prompt engineering techniques. We have zero shot learning, we have few shot learning. In zero shot learning, we do not provide any examples to your prompt. In few shot learnings, we provide examples to the prompt. We should set the persona of your AI agent, like how it should behave, what it should answer and what it should not answer, right? Or while you are responding to the user prompt, what configurations you want to keep in mind, what is the maximum number of tokens your prompt can generate, or uh, what would be the temperature and top P parameters to get the dynamic or the static output. So all those things we can also configure here with the help of semantic kernel. So now let's work with the prompt, and we'll ask our prompt to remember the history of our conversation. We'll set the persona of our prompt. So I'm going to create one more file here. I create one more file, and yes, I'm going to use same Microsoft.semantic kernel. This time I don't need plugin. I just use program 003 as the class, and we create the method again, public static asyntax, say my prompts. Even the first part of the prompt is pretty simple, say where builder is equal to kernel dot create builder, and same builder dot we add our OpenAI endpoint and key and the deployment name. My bad, not here. We are also going to create this kernel object. And now say first very basic, let us provide very basic prompt here. And what we'll do here is I'm just going to set the language. So I just use one string, say language is equal to French. So I set French language here. And I'm just going to set the prompt also, say string prompt is. Again, let me just copy paste the prompt to save the time. So the prompt says create a list of helpful phrases and words in a language. Which language? In this French language. So yes, let me just paste it. So now here we says create a list of helpful phrases and words in this language. That is what I use it with dollar and expression interpolation. So that's what I'm just reading the value of this language variable here. And with this now, let me write my result is kernel.invoke prompt async, and I'm just going to pass this prompt. The prompt has now the language available. So I'm fine tuning my prompt. As I always discuss, we can take this prompt from the user. And I print the result in the console. So if I just go to program.cs file and here I just write await prompt and let me run it. So we are looking for some useful phrases in French language. And yes, you can see I get the phrases here. It is like bonjour for good morning. And you can see this absolutely here's a list of handy French phrases and words for travelers. Right, bonne nuit, non, merci. Right, so we get the list of French phrases, and again here you can see it is categorized. Like these are the basic phrases, these are the greetings phrases, these are phrases you can use while asking for the help, directions, accommodations, dining, shopping, emergency number. See, this is very helpful for any traveler, right? Okay, fine. Now let us go back to this file, and I'm just going to comment this step 1, and yes, let me go for step 2. With the step 2, say we provide an instruction, say prompt with an instruction, and here again I create the prompt. So let me write string prompt, and let me copy the prompt here. And if you see the prompt, it is like create a list of phrases and words in the particular language, and group phrases by category. Display the phrases in the following format: hello and the phrase, like that. So with this now, let me run this application one more time. Yes, and just look at the format now. It is the phrase, then hyphen, and the French version of it. Store hyphen French version of it. So I provide an instruction, right, how to return the output. That's what here you can see. Near, press, right, left, gosh. So that's what. And even you can see it's giving me how to pronounce it because it is mentioned here in my phrase. If you see the previous output, in the previous one, it just gives me the English word and the French word, but it does not mention how to pronounce it. But now here I provide the instruction, so it also mentions that how to pronounce it as per my instruction here. Okay, and now let's see one more example. This time even we are going to set the history, set the context. So I'm just going to command this step 2. And say we just go for step 3. And we just write prompt with context and history. So I just create a variable string history, which is I want my this application to this AI agent to remember the history what I set here. So I'm just going to provide some history. Let me copy paste to save the time. And it says, so I'm traveling with my kids and one of them has a peanut allergy. This is what the history I want my AI agent to remember. And now I'm also going to set a prompt. Prompt is same, but if you just understand here, the prompt says considers travel as background. And here I am passing the value of this history. Again, create a list of phrases in this language variable, that is the French. And again, I just provide my instruction here. This everything is same, but it will remember that my kids are having peanut allergy. So what I expect, it will give me few phrases which I can use in any restaurant when I'm traveling to France, and I can have a conversation with any restaurant guy or waiter, right? So let's see here. So I just run the program one more time. Yes, and if I see here the output, and if I see, yeah, here you can see I have this category now, food and allergy information, and it put the phrase like my child has a peanut allergy, right? And it gives me what's the French version of it, translation of it, and it also gives me how to pronounce it, right? Does this contain peanuts? No peanuts, please. Can you make this without peanuts? So you can see now it remembers my history also, right? Isn't it wonderful, friends? You can set history, you can change the parameter. Now understand, you are creating an application where user will, even the language you will take randomly as an input from the user, the history will take as an input from the user. Even I'm using French, right? But the country you will take as an input from the user, like origin and destination, and then it generates the output for you. This is what now you are being more specific. And right now I am working with this OpenAI service, but in this Azure OpenAI service, I can bring my enterprise data, and it just returns me the output from that enterprise data, right? Now let me create one more file. Let us write prompt more efficiently, more professionally. So I'm just going to create one more file, say program 0004 CS, and I just use Microsoft.Semantic Kernel class program 0004. What we do here, we are going to use the same concept, but this time I'm going to set the persona, right? It is sometimes we say system messages, how to behave, what to answer, what not to answer. So I'm going to set this persona here. So in this class, again, I create the method, say public static array, public static async task prompt with persona, and first few lines would be the same where I connect it to my Azure OpenAI endpoint. And now again, say we write language is French, and I put the same history here also. Let me copy paste it. Say I am traveling with my kids having peanut allergy. And now let us write step 1. We set very basic persona here. It is almost static one. So I just say, okay, say I just create a prompt, say string prompt is and I just write, say, hey, you are a travel assistant, and I say, you are helpful, creative, and very friendly. Consider the traveler's background. So, and I pass history here, and I say, also create a list of words that someone needs while traveling to the France, right, in this language. And I say, okay, group phrases by category, include common direction words, and I also define the format the same way, like this. And then I say, but you know what, you have to begin with something like this, and I provide one more instruction here, and let me just break it down. So it says, begin with, here are some phrases in this language you may find helpful, and end with, I hope this helps you on your trip. So I set the persona that you are helpful, creative, very friendly. I say begin with this, and with these proper instructions I have also provided here. And now let me put a prompt. One sec. And finally, we are just going to add these two lines here. It's like invoke this prompt asynchronously. And yes, so now I just go back to this program class, and I just run it. And if you see here the output, look at this thing. It begins with the same line. Here are some phrases in French you may find helpful, and it ends with, I hope this helps you on your trip. So you can see it's working exactly same as I mentioned here. It begins with, here are some phrases in French you may find helpful, and end with, I hope this helps you on your trip. Again, the output is in the same format, and it also remembers that my kids are having peanut allergy, right? So here we add persona, very basic work, right? But now let us create one more step 2 here, and I just write some advanced persona. And what I'm going to do is say we are going to use particular syntax. Now, what are the syntax, friends, here? So here in semantic kernel, we have a special syntax which is used to define message roles. To define a message role, we can wrap it around the message. So what we do, we can use something like this. This is my system message. I just wrap it around the message like this. And we have roles like user, system, bot, assistant, etc. So I'm just going to use this syntax now. So I create variable. So let me comment this line here. Let me comment all this, and I just create a variable string input, and I'm just going to put something like this. This time I change my instruction. It is like, I am planning an anniversary trip with my spouse. We like hiking mountains and beaches. Our travel budget is something. And then I just write a prompt here. Let me copy paste the prompt in the interest of time and understand it. So here now it says, okay, the following is conversation with an AI travel assistant. That means I set a persona that you acts like a travel assistant. The assistant is helpful, creative, very friendly. You remember traveler's background. Background is kids with some peanut allergy. And now user. So message role is what user. User is going to ask question like this. Can you give me some travel destination suggestions? And assistant, that is what my message role is going to answer like this. Of course, do you have budget or any specific activities in mind? And the user is going to provide this input. This is what my input here. That yes, I am planning an anniversary trip with my spouse. We like all those stuff. All right. And same way, we are just going to invoke our prompt. So here you can see we define the role like user, assistant. We provide the history, right? And now if I think if all good here, I just go back to program class and I just, okay, we already have it right. Yes. So now if we see, look at this thing, how this prompt assist. It says that sounds like a wonderful way to celebrate with budget. It remembers the history, right? And it provides you suggestions for mountains, beaches, along with excellent hiking opportunities. So it remembers it and it provides me the suggestions, right? So take a look here. Canada, Spain, Costa Rica, Switzerland, and Italy combo, New Zealand. So this way I make my prompt more user friendly, right? I mean, more convenient. And now the last thing what we understand here is instead of writing prompts and its configurations here, we can just take it outside my main logic with the help of prompt template. So what I do is here, I'm just going to add one more file, program.cs, and I create one folder also. My folder name is say prompts, right? Inside this prompt, I create one more directory. Say this is what specific to my travel plugins. And in this travel plugins, I create three more directory. The first directory has functionality for get destination. So if user asks any question specific to destination, the configuration, the prompt persona, I'll take from this directory. I'll have one more directory here, say suggest activities. And I create one more directory here, say suggest destinations. Now, when you want to use this prompt templating, we have to keep one thing in mind. We have to create specific files. These files names are like this. One is config.json. And in this file, you provide your configurations for your AI agent to keep in mind while responding. Now, what type of configurations it would be? It is like, how many tokens it can return, what will be the temperature parameter, what is the name of the input variable, whether input variable is mandatory or not, right? So if you see, I have some JSON file content here, and look at this thing. So it says this is the description of this particular AI agent. Look at the keyword here, execution settings. And I say maximum tokens are 1200, temperature parameter is 0. 0 means every time it will generate the same output. It will not be dynamic. We know the temperature parameter value is from 0 to 1. 1 is more dynamic, right? 0 is static. So if you are writing a novel or poem, you should make it close to 1. But if you are creating a legal document or prescriptions, you should go with the value which is near close to 0. My input variable name is input description, and this is required. So here I define my configurations. And then second file I have is skprompt.txt. Now file name must be same, and this is semantic kernel prompt.txt, and here you define the template. Again, template is the same thing what we have discussed so far. So I say message role is system, and system is like, we are going to provide some instruction. It's like my system message. It is like identify the destination the user wants to travel to. The user is going to ask questions like, I am so excited to take time off work. My partner and I are thinking to going to Santorini in Greece, and I love Greek food. I can't wait. An assistant is going to understand, identify the destination is what, Santorini, Greece. And now we'll take the input variable from the user. Same way for the suggest activity, I create one file, config.json. And if you see here, one thing to understand, this time I set 4,000 tokens, because if you understand in the get destination, it has to understand only travel destination like Santorini, Greece. So I reduce the token limit to 1200. But now here it has to suggest activities. So I increase the token limit to 4,000, and I also increase the temperature parameter. So every time we can have some variations in the response. My input variables are history and destination. And again, for this templating, I just go for the file skprompt.txt. So I create the new file skprompt.txt, and I just paste it here. And I directly provide the persona like you are a travel assistant, you are helpful, creative, friendly. Consider this history and provide, understand this destination here. Suggest them some activities for this destination, right? And now I have one more file here for the third plugin, suggest destination, say config.json. Again, it is just going to suggest destination. So what I do is same thing. Here I reduce the tokens to 1200 because it has to just suggest the destination, not much. Yeah, temperature is 0.3, so still you can have some variations in the output. And I just write new file, say skprompt.txt, and I say, okay, again, you are a travel agent, travel assistant, which is helpful, creative, friendly. User is going to ask a questions like, can you give me some travel destination suggestions? And you say, of course, do you have a budget or any specific activities in mind? And then we are going to read the input from the user. Okay. And now let me create my logic here in this file with the help of Microsoft.Semantic Kernel. And we are going to utilize all this stuff. Even I'm going to use plugins this time, and I'm also going to use Microsoft.Semantic Kernel.chat completion. And I create a class. Class has the method public static async task. Say saving prompts to the file. That's what I mean. We get the prompt configuration from the file. Again, initially everything is same. So I just take this data and I also want to use this kernel object, and I say this time, take a look. The interesting thing is this. I'm going to use this conversation summary plugin. import plugin from conversation summary, and again say go to the prompts directory and get the prompts configuration from this travel plugins here. All right, so where kernel is build. Oh, I'm not getting this plugin here. I get it now. It was coming from plugins.core. Fine. And yes, now I just create some chat history here. Say like chat history, and it will keep the history of it. History of my chat. It's an empty array as of now. And now I'm just going to provide some history and some very basic logic. If you see here, sorry, my bad. It is like I'm planning an anniversary trip. My budget is $15,000. We like hiking, mountains, beaches, and invoke the prompt. But this time you take it from suggest destination. So go to travel plugins. Inside travel plugins, go to suggest destination. Then this is what your prompt template here, and this is the configuration that you have to keep in mind. That's what I just print here. And now I take the input from the user, right? But now it knows what is my prompt configuration. And after this, I just write it here, and we just say, take the result. Now check if history dot add, add this one to this history array. Result is not null. Then add assistant message as this result. Again, you ask one more question. Where would you like to go? You take the input from the user and make sure if it is not empty, then you just perform some task. And this time, again, to return the result here, I say, if user says where you would like to go, suggest some activities. So we take the input from the user that we pass to this destination variable. It is in my this suggest activities skprompt.txt file. Here I have destination and I have history. So here you can see I take the input and history, and again this time I say take the prompt configuration from this suggest activities, and in the config.json file this time we say token is 4000. You can have some detailed responses over there. So now with this, if I just go back to my main program file, and I just run it, so it's asking me where you would like to go, and I just say I want to go to India. And it gives me various locations here, like what part of India you want to go. If you and look at this thing, it starts like absolutely is a vibrant country. So it's being friendly, right? Interactive with you. It suggestions. It provides you suggestions like North India, and here what you can do. Right, you can visit Taj Mahal, you can visit Jaipur, Varanasi, Delhi, Himalaya. What you do in the Western India, Mumbai, Goa, Udaipur. Southern India, Southern India, we have Kerala, Hampi, Mysore, Chennai. Eastern India, Kolkata and Darjeeling. So it has combination of mountains, beaches, hiking activities. It provides you all these things over here, right? What you can do. So look at this thing now. Even the response is what response is in up to 4,000 tokens, right? The only thing is what my program file is now neat and clean, right? And I just provide the input, and I just provide the history.
Rest my prompt configuration and persona is here in this config.json file and skprompt.txt. And again, if we have various prompt, so for each and every prompt we define various if you have multiple prompt categories like suggest destination and suggest activities. So for both of them, we have various configuration file, we have prompt templates, personas, tokens, etc. So with this, we have reached at the end of our session. I hope you all find it useful. You get jump start of semantic kernel and how to work with Azure OpenAI.